Hello everyone, this is LW Gaming and welcome to a brand new installment of Future Langrisser. Today we're going to be talking about the next major update that will be getting global, which is known as one of the interesting collabs, or maybe some people call it a weird one. Anyways, Captain Commando collab is coming up next in the global's next major update. So let's see what these characters do, because as far as I've heard, these two new characters are duo characters, just like Juro and Layla. But we'll see how they do in the actual, like, what their skill does and also what kind of talent they have. So let's get right into it, shall we? So first things first, our first new hero, or known as duo hero, we got Captain Commando and Babyhead. And yep, these are the I'll probably say the protagonists, but spoiler alert, they're both our protagonists. So, anyways, they're for the factions, they're part of protagonists, strategic masters, and heroes of time. And their classes, they're both infantry, which makes sense. Although it's a little bit odd that they're in the game. They're in the game very soon. But, anyways, their talent, assault elite. This could be given as a different name in global. By the way, this is just a roughly translated word from CN, of course. The damage dealt by AoE skills increases by 15 to 30% depending on star level, and when fighting enemies without soldiers, up to like 150% all the way to 300%. Yeah, that's actually a lot of damage on it. So depending on how many soldiers the enemies don't have, like for example, if they don't have no soldiers at all, you do a maximum of like 150 at 3 stars. But if your Captain Commando and Babyhead is 6 stars, it'll be 300%. Like that is really wild. If you ask me, when it comes to damage, when actively attacking, gains 1 battle enthusiasm, which does increase the mobility of 1, attack and defense plus 10%, and this can be stacked up to 3 times, and cannot be dispelled in any way, and this will stay on you for 2 turns. So there's a nice boost for this one, which is pretty nice. At the end of the action, if the amount of battle enthusiasm you have had reached the max limit, the number of buffs will not lose their turn count and act again. And the act again part is that you can activate this again after 4 to 2 turns. At 3 stars, you'll get this back at 4 turns, but at 5 and 6 stars, you get this back at 2 turns, which is pretty nice. All right, let's talk about their skills and see what they have. So, like, this is a duo hero. Each one will have their separate paths based on what character you chose. One path will be Captain Commando, and the other path will be Babyhead. Anyways, the first one is a 1C skill, Combat Technique. It is a 2 turn cooldown, 1 block, and it's a 1 block AoE. So that means that this is a non in combat kind of battle. So let's see what this does. So physical damage attacks one enemy in an adjacent position, dealing 0.2 times AoE damage. When the amount of battle enthusiasm exceeds 1, each additional stack will deal 1 additional damage, and the cooldown of the skill will be reduced by 1 turn. So am I thinking, how does this skill work? Well, here's the thing. If you have 1 stack of the battle enthusiasm, you're only going to hit once. But if you have more than 1, you'll be able to hit multiple times. So if you have a maximum of 3 stacks, you can do like a 3-hit combo with this skill, which is pretty insane. Like, it's kind of like a fighting game kind of thing, you know, like a 3-hit combo. Yes, that's just what this skill is about. So depending on how many of those battle enthusiasm stacks you have, if you have 3, you'll do the 3-hit combo, which is interesting. And also like for each additional stack will deal one additional damage, and the cooldown of the skill will be reduced by 1 turn. So yeah, depending on the situation, as long as you have multiple on you, you'll have your cooldown reduced by 1 turn. So I don't know how this works. I think it's like a 1 turn for each, or maybe just 1 turn throughout the bat. We'll see when they become a thing in the game, and I'll fix it if there's an error. But of course, in the form of wiki, of course. Okay, next up we got 2C skill of Fire Jet. This is Captain Commando's signature move. It's a 3-turn cooldown, 3 blocks, and it's a single target. And what this does is that it teleports yourself to a target area and attacks all enemies within the 3 furthest block in 3 straight lines, dealing 0.3 times AoE damage, and increases the damage taken by the enemy by 20% for 2 turns. When this skill hits 2 or more enemies, an additional stack of battle enthusiasm will be granted. So yeah, if you hit 2 or more with the skill, you'll get 1 more stack of the battle enthusiasm, which is really good. And then another 2C skill, this is Baby Head's signature skill, Strong Head Throw. And it's a 3-turn cooldown, 1 block AoE. Physical damage, and this directly deals 0.3 times AoE damage to one enemy on the field and causes the effect of displacement. And this will basically moves the enemy randomly to other empty space within 1 block around it and prevents it from moving in its next turn, which could bring up some interesting situations in your part where they won't be able to do anything because like they're stuck. And finally, 3C skill. This is the one thing that is powerful, but however, there's a drawback. So anyways, the passive part of this at the end of the action, if all mobility is used up this turn, gain 1 stack of battle enthusiasm. Okay, pretty nice bonus there. And the physical damage on this one is that it attacks all enemies within 3 blocks radius around the Commando duo, dealing 0.3 times AoE damage and dealing 0.1 times AoE damage to nearby enemies. After the attack, applies the electric strike to all unit hits. Before using the skill, receives fixed damage equal to 0.5 times attack of the Commando duo. The cooldown of this skill will be increased by an additional 0.5 turn every 1 turn, last 2 turns. So that part is a bit of a drawback. So over time, your cooldown will be increased by half the turn, which is interesting. I don't think we have ever seen that before. Like after using a skill, you get your skill cooldown increased by like small amount of turn, not even 1, just half of it. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. So yeah, and also the electric strike thing, where if you use if you use a skill, you'll get shocked, which is a new mechanic. So, anyways, let's see what's the other character that I will bring to us, which is the Mack the Knife and Ginzu the Ninja, and the factions. They're part of a protagonist like Captain Commando and Babyhead. There's also Meteor Strike as well as Heroes of Time, and they're both assassins. Yep, just like those other 2 duos I mentioned earlier, these 2 are assassins. And I gotta say, these guys will have much more of an impact in PvP. Initially, I thought they both are skippable, but no. This one, after reading their kits and skills, they are something that we cannot ignore. Like, I mean, it's not in the same level of Tiana, by the way. It's not like that. But it's just that they're really strong in their own ways. Anyways, their talent, Evil Hunter. Attack and crit plus 10 to 25%, depending on star level. Unit attack range plus 1. Begins the fight in walking mode. And this is important because depending on what mode you're on, walking mode and running mode will impact certain aspects of this character. So while in walking mode, your damage dealt will be increased by 15%, and your attack will ignore guard when entering combat. At the end of the action, for every 1 mobility expended this turn, the next turn's mobility will be increased by 1 for each mobility used, if you use all of it, of course. I mean for like a what I mean to say, the next turn's mobility will be increased by 1 depending on how much you moved. So yeah, up to a maximum of 5. And this cannot be dispelled if all mobility was expended this turn. So yeah, if you want to ensure you have the highest mobility, use up all of your mobility to make it not dispellable. And also at the same time, running mode will be entered. So that means that they will be shifted to running mode now. And this will change their abilities in a certain way. When actively attacking and engaging in combat, if the enemy is successfully eliminated, can attack again, but you cannot move. Otherwise, we'll enter walk mode. Like walking mode, I mean. So yeah, if you're able to kill someone while in running mode, you will be able to get a chance to attack again, but in exchange you cannot move on this. So this kind of reminds me of the one of the future's casting skill from Excella, but much worse. So I would say this is a fair balance. So yeah, they are not going to be too broken, I would say. But the thing is, you won't be able to move after attacking. So make sure you're attacking within the group. Like for example, if there are two enemies within that same square you're standing on, you can use that attack again on the other character, which will be big. But however, if you can't do that, don't worry because you'll enter the walking mode and then back to the basics, and you can repeat the process again for the next time you encounter. And now let's talk about their skills and see what they do. So, chop into pieces. That is the passive skill of 1C. When dealing fixed damage, restores HP equal to the fixed damage dealt. After an active attack deals damage, it will deal another fixed damage equal to 2 times of Assassin Duo's attack. Yeah, the reason why I chose to call them Assassin Duos because you're technically controlling two characters at once. So that's why I call it Assassin Duo. Same with the Commando Duo on the other character. And then the 2C skill, this is the Ginzu's signature move, Shining Ninja Dart. 2-turn cooldown, 5 blocks, 3 lines AoE. Attacks all enemies in 3 straight lines. Crit increased by 20%. Deals 0.33 times AoE damage. And steals 1 buff from all enemies hit. In running mode, after an attack, can move another 3 blocks. So yeah, if you're in running mode, you will be able to move back by a certain amount of blocks, which is excellent for you to get out of the way before you get hit. And then another 2C skill. This is the Mack the Knife's signature move, Erosion Strike. It's a 2-turn cooldown, 2 blocks, single target. And what this does, it attacks one enemy, dealing 1.3 times damage, and applies Melting Husk. Or, yeah, I think it's called, Melting Husks to the enemy before combat. The buff effect received is converted into random debuffs effect. When you die, the corrosion special effect will be applied to the location that the enemy died for 2 turns. And what the corrosion does is that at the beginning of the turn, it spreads to one adjacent block. The enemy who stands on it at the end of the action receives Melting Husk. In running mode, an additional fixed damage equal to 1 times of Assassin Duo's attack will be dealt before this attack. Yeah, this skill is really nasty. So it's kind of like Seraphina's, but this is more like a tile-oriented kind of thing. So yeah, if you ever came across Mack the Knife with this Corrosion Strike, yeah, watch out. And also, funny enough, even though these two are the same character, you could see some funny things with Ginzu with Mack the Knife's ability. That'll be kind of funny. But anyways, but I could say the same with the other two as well. Like Captain Commando with Baby Head's ability. That'll be hilarious. Anyways, the 3C skill, Spinning Kick and Smoke Explosion. Like I said earlier, this skill name might be changing for global, but I am going to call it spinning because that's what it's supposed to look like in the actual move. The passive part is that if you're in running mode, gains the ability to move through defensive terrain without movement reduction for up to 2 blocks. So as long as you're moving within the defense terrains, you will not have to worry about losing your mobility because those ones will be negated up to 2 times, which is pretty nice. So that you can freely move in a forest without worry about slowing down. Or anything that has to do with the terrain, like the defense terrain. Like it doesn't have to be forest. It could be anything that involves defense. Anyways, the physical damage component of this attacks one enemy, dealing 1.6 times damage and crit increase of 30%. If you are in walking mode, you will attack first before the enemy in this combat. After combat, the block you are standing on will receive a special effect of smoke for 1 turn. And this will disappear when attacked by an enemy's AoE skill. And what this smoke does is that is a command when friendly forces, with friendly allies, within 1 block of with 1 ring around the thing, enter combat, there is a 30% chance that the enemy will lose the target and will not be able to attack. And the chance increased to 100% in PvP mode. That right there is really strong. Like this is like not as strong in PvE, but if you use him in PvP, that will make a big difference. And it's when successfully eliminating an enemy, the cooldown of this skill is reduced by 3 turns. So, what do I think about this character with his 3C? I would say it's pretty OP. Not gonna lie, like this kind of skill reminds me of Himiko, where both sides not able to attack on the first encounter. So yeah, something like that. But this all basically this is similar to that, but minus the part for like where you can still attack, but your enemy cannot. So yeah, this could be devastating if you think about this. So anyways, moving on to the banners and see what we got here. So in this update, we'll be expecting these banners. The first week, we'll be expecting the Captain Commando collab units that will be coming in this update. Starting on the 14th of November, all the way to December 11th. And then on week 2, we'll be seeing Grenchill and Tyranta Radar banner alongside it with Wish banner of Langrisser 1, 2, and 3, and the Wish banner of Langrisser Mobile 1 and 2, starting on the 21st of November, all the way to the 4th of December. On week 3, we have a Radar banner featuring Prezia and Nymph, and then the Destiny banner featuring Andrio, Hilda, and Patricia, as well as the Witch banner of Langrisser 4 and 5, begin on the 28th of November, all the way to 11th of December. And finally, the 4th week, we have the 2 Destiny banners, one featuring Zerda, Tatalia, and Girl in the Shell, and the other one is the classic returning of Rachel, Lana, and Tiaris, beginning on December 5th, all the way to December 18th. So I gotta say, this is a solid lineup for those who have missed certain characters on their first time. So if you missed Andy the first time, you're in luck because he is on Radar banner. If he's the only one missing, that is. But if you're missing only Patricia, this banner is also for you. And as for Tarantel and Grenchill, I could see that banner being a good banner to pull on because Grenchill is going to get some love in this update, by the way, which we'll talk about later, which I'll let you know what exactly she's getting here. And then Tarantel, he is still good, and he's like both being a tank and a bruiser attacker, something like that. Anyways, that's all I could say here. So that means let's move on. What events / changes to expect here? So of course we'll be expecting Captain Commando collab event going on here, but this time this collab event is not something that we're used to. So in the past of collabs we get a free character, right? Well, unfortunately not in this collab because this collab only introduced 2 characters, and they're both duos, by the way. Yeah. I think that's why many people in CN didn't like this collab because for one, they don't get a freebie, which is sad. Which I hope in the near future of when it comes to those collabs, they don't do like a like 2 characters that are new but no free hero for everyone to get. Yeah, that is a I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. And there's also going to be a new batch of fandom heroes you can go after, or known as the Amajar spirits or whatever. And as far as the quality of life changes, I don't think there are any in this update, but I might be wrong. But so anyways, I'll keep an eye out on that when we got the update. Anyways, next up, let's talk about confession and exclusive. So we got a new exclusive. This time is for Patricia. Patricia is gonna get a new weapon, which is her own, of course, in plus 10%. Soul Burning Plague applies by Patricia lasts 1 more turn. After actively attacking to deal damage, there is a 100% chance to inflict 1 additional stack of Soul Burning Plague to the enemy. Pretty nice upgrade for her. Okay, moving on. Let's talk. And moving on is the new confession. This time is Seraphina. I have a feeling that a lot of people did use her quite a lot back then, but I think she's still usable in PvP. In some situations, of course. Seraphina having a new confession will allow us to see how many battles we have brought her in. Pretty nice. And I personally never have Seraphina, which I won't know. I won't know how many battles have I fought with her because no, there's literally nothing, none of them at all because I don't have her. Will I plan to get her in the future? Maybe not because she doesn't really help my team in some ways. Okay, next up, new casting skills. So this time around, we got four new castings. One of the which, like I said earlier, was Grenchill, and this is what she's getting in this update. She's getting a casting here, which means that she might get banned from Waifu Wars, as far as I'm concerned. Before entering combat, the enemy's mobility up effects are converted into mobility down effects for one turn. The cold shield gains an additional effect, and what this does is a command. All allies within 2 blocks of cold shield gains attack and in plus 10%, which is great for her because Grenshu has been left in the dark in the Apex scenes for quite some time now. With this casting skill, I could see her much more of a use now with this skill. So this will like the cold shield not only prevent the enemy from guarding. This one will also be treated as a damage boost for your teammates, which is pretty nice. Next up, we got Olivier from Trails in the Sky SC, or known as Second Chapter. He is getting casting in this update. Attack plus 10%. Every time a skill is used to damage an enemy, skill damage plus 5%, up to 15%. Pretty nice. And the cooldown of the skill is reduced by one turn. And this can be increased by up to 3 turn cooldown, with reduction, of course, depending on how many enemies you hit. So I would say Olivier is a solid has a solid casting skill. Once this one is out, I can see a lot of Olivier enjoyers out there, but of course not in PvP. But it really depends on what kind of situation you're in. Although I'm not saying it's impossible to see him in PvP, it's just that it's possible. It's just that it's kind of rare, I would say. Okay, next up we got Gustav. So Gustav is getting a casting skill in this update, which I have a feeling that they're gonna move Gustav out of the waifu option into OP, whatever it is. Or pick one category. Yeah, the reason I thought of this is because Gustav lately I've seen how crazy she could be as a team captain. You can imagine that, right? Pretty insane. But with this casting, I kind of feel she's gonna get moved out of there. In plus 5%. When you use a skill on self, cooldown plus one turn, and after use can move 2 additional blocks and attack again. So Gustav is going to be able to act again as long as you use a skill on yourself, which is pretty interesting. Which means that she's going to be much more terrifying if you think about it. Because Gustav will have 2 actions when you use a skill on yourself, which is oh my, that is terrifying. Okay, and last but not least, we got Hein. Hein is another character of the SR category, finally getting a casting here. I gotta say, Hein, he is a bit of an underwhelming unit as far as I heard, ever since the start. Well, in this update, they're gonna give him casting. So, in plus 5%, when entering action, gains 1 additional int stack from talent, and 1 random additional flame or thunder stack if he is in SP class, or known as if his talent is Wisdom of the Black Dragon. So Hein's casting is going to benefit both his original form and his SP class. So yeah, what do I think about this casting batch? I would say it's pretty solid for all 4 characters, but we'll see how they will perform when they come out. And finally, before we let you all go, I'm going to give you a bit of a reminder of the next update. Although some people might not find this collab appealing to some of you, but the next update you probably want to look after because this one is the 6th anniversary. And this is where Enya is introduced, and this is not someone you should skip if you're a PvP player, which I'm going to tell you why. Because Enya copies the enemy unit. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. She can copy an enemy unit and make it as her own ally, which is pretty nuts, don't you think? Like, for example, if your opponent has a Solde, you can literally use Enya to copy her. Like, oh my goodness. So anyways, that's it for now. Hope you all find this video informative, helpful, whatever you see this. Anyways, see you all next time.